Hi there, Frank here for Premium members for the trading day of November 11, 2025, a Tuesday. So let's pick up the pace here and look at the situation on the market. So as is obvious on the daily chart, we have a large bottom tail with a beautiful bull flag on the daily. I think that's worth pursuing here. If it triggers, there's a long trade waiting for us here. You may have done some long trades yesterday in the Monday session. Intraday, that's fine, but I think the setup on the daily is ready as we speak. Now, wait for a trigger on the 4-hour chart because surprises are possible. Markets like to, screw up naive traders. So probably this is going to reach down a little bit, clear up the stops if there's anything going on here, and then we might make a move to the upside. So use appropriate stops. I think the best way to do this is on the daily. And if you do it on the daily, as remember, we have this little technique of putting the stop just within the bottom tail so that if we do reach down here, we don't get hurt by the slippage. And looking at it from this bottom tail, it's not very likely that we're going to come back that deep. But that said, as always, everything's possible. Let's move on to the other ones. NQ is next. Same story, exactly. And YM, we had a long setup yesterday already that just became more ripe here. And if it triggers, I think the situation is the same as on the other ones. And last but not least, the RTY. As you know, the small caps are always a little bit different. These companies are of a different size and market reach. So be careful here. Don't expect this to behave the same way as the big guys do, the ES and the NQ. Momentum is often on the technological companies and the large mature companies in the ES basket. Okay, let's move on to currencies on which these long trades are slowly taking shape. Here we go. I know the daily is not ready yet, so if you want to wait a couple of more bull flags on the 4-hour chart, that's perfectly fine. You can wait until the daily hits the upper counter and then start to look for longs. That's perfectly fine. If you're more aggressive, then you can start pursuing these longs on the 4-hour chart. So if you trade the 4-hour, basically you go with the larger tsunami on the weekly chart. Or at least that's how it seems. And also the weekly is bullish, the daily is bearish. That's why I'm not thinking of shorting the daily chart. Okay, so let's look at a couple of other ones. Australian dollar, another bull flag. If it triggers, I don't have the 1R for a reason because you see, we don't know how many more candles. It's 4:22 a.m. right now, EST. And we might get a couple of more candles here before we really get triggered here on the 4-hour chart. Also, let's look at the Swiss franc. Already triggered on the 4-hour chart. Swiss franc is a reserve currency for many, and rightfully so. So I think the complex bull flag on the weekly has already started going to the upside. Let's also look at commodities. Oil first, CL. Look at these wonderful clues here on the 4-hour chart in the form of price action. Bottom tails. Every time we sold off, these candles were bought up by the bulls, and now we have a beautiful green candle in the works on the 4-hour. So I think this measured move potential at this point, measured move on the daily, is likely to materialize. The 15-minute chart, look at this, 4 a.m. Eastern time is already moving. Okay, on to metals. Gold shrugged off the bears, if there was any, and now it's heading back to 44. Be careful here. There's no guarantees we're going to hit 44, so I would say we had a couple of days ago this 50% area here. So wait for a little battle here in this zone before, perhaps a couple of pullbacks here on smaller charts before we make an attempt to 4,400 and perhaps even new highs. And let's see what the SI is doing. Same thing the last time I checked. Look at this beautiful breakout here from this volatility compression. This was broadcast to you a couple of days ago. And the daily is also working its way back up to the previous highs. This was not an easy situation because remember, the weekly we had an exhaustion. This was a very emotional move here, almost parabolic, and exhausted around 54, which means that the market needs time to digest this move. That's why the sell-off and the profit taking, I don't think the big picture has changed dramatically, but profit taking is, I think, what produced this price action on the daily. All right, couple of words about copper and natural gas. Copper bull flag. The daily was incredibly damaged, you see, a couple of months ago, but now we are kind of stabilizing here and producing a sideways market. If it does break out from here, I think we might go back to 6 or wherever it was. So if you trade this or if you're interested, keep an eye on this market. And also natural gas is making a move to the upside. Here we go. Again, breaking out from this bottom building structure, you see, and with winter coming and everything, at least on the northern hemisphere, I think this is going to move to the upside. So there's a couple of opportunities here, actually quite a few opportunities to keep an eye on, and depending on the risk management rules of our account, we can select a few markets to consider for actual trades, either a totally automated or semi-automated, so-called human-assisted algorithmic trading method. So if you have any questions, always feel free to reach out. This strategy, this methodology is working and producing good results. We just need to internalize the method and pay attention and apply discipline and capital, of course. Back in the morning for the next trading session. I'm hesitating because it's already in the morning in Europe, but it's only 4:30 in Toronto. So I hope you're ready for today's session. We'll talk soon, and until then, mindful trading. Also, please note there's a couple of hours left from the Remembrance Day special. So if you're interested, you can apply the coupon code in the shop. Thank you very much. We'll be back soon, and until then, mindful trading.